Y'all, if your family loves banana pudding as much as mine does, you're gonna love this cake, and it absolutely couldn't be easier because we're gonna start with a boxed mix. Now, when I make a boxed mix, I do make a couple of changes on it. I use milk instead of water and butter instead of oil. Sometimes I'll put in an extra egg or extra egg yolk, but in this case, I'm not doing that. That gives it a lot more of a homemade flavor than just the cake mix itself. Also, the original recipe calls for like a 16 ounce or 18 ounce cake mix, but that was like back in the 80s, and I noticed that cake mix is now, this one is 13.25 ounces, so lots of downsizing here. But it works out just fine anyway. So just get a box cake mix around 13.5 to 15.5 ounces and you'll be good. What we're gonna need for the cake is 3 eggs, a cup of melted butter, and a cup of milk. That's all you're gonna need for the cake itself. And the cake is baked according to the directions on the back of the package. Make sure that you make it in a 13 by 9 inch pan, okay? And then you're gonna need bananas, Nilla Wafers, sweetened condensed milk. I use Eagle brand, and lemon juice and water to keep the bananas from browning. We're gonna put them in a little soak with that. And then you're gonna need 4 more cups of cold milk and 2 3.4 ounce boxes of banana pudding, instant banana pudding mix, okay? That is all you need, but we don't need this right now. We need to get the cake done. So let me get this stuff out of the way and we'll get started. Okay, all we need to do with the cake mix is dump the mix in, add the butter, add our 3 eggs, there's 1, complete with a few shells. Let's get those out of there. Here's 2, and 3. And then we'll just pour in the milk. And we'll just mix this on medium speed until it's well blended. It says 2 minutes by hand. I would think maybe a minute by the mixer. And that should be good. Always be sure and scrape down the sides and make sure you've got everything mixed in really well too. I'm just gonna spray a 13 by 9 inch pan with no stick spray. And this does not get served outside of the pan, so that's enough to keep it from sticking. You really don't need anything else. But y'all, I've been thinking while I've been working on this, and I just didn't pay much attention when I ordered my groceries, and I just grabbed a butter yellow cake mix. And it shouldn't, no. In the past, it's never made a difference which brand I got, but apparently now some brands have downsized more than other brands. If you have a favorite brand, use that, but if you don't, look for the one that's still 15.25, I think, or whatever it is. That way you'll get, more cake. Let's face it, this is not going to be as much cake as if it had a couple of ounces more in the cake mix. You want to get that cake mix in there, or the cake batter, I guess at this point. You want to get it in there as evenly as possible. And with it being so skimpy, you definitely want to get all of that batter out of your pan. Okay, we're going to even this out. Make sure it goes all the way up into the corners, and it is ready to go in the oven. I'll see you in about 25 minutes. Okay, the cake is fixing to come out of the oven, and before it does, we want to go ahead and get our bananas in the lemon juice and water. So I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then I'm going to add about a cup to a cup and a half of water, and I'll be right back. Now, you don't want these bananas to sit in there and soak until they're falling apart. Just about maybe 2 or 3 minutes at the most. So I'm just going to slice them right into the water, or to our lemon and water mixture. And this will keep them from getting a funny brown color. Some people don't bother with this because usually when the bananas are underneath a topping, which these will be, they don't discolor, or they don't discolor much, at least not until you cut the cake. But the next day the bananas a lot of times are going to be kind of a gross brown color, and they'll be kind of watery. This way they don't do that. You want to use ripe bananas for this, but you don't want to have them so ripe that you could make banana bread with them. You want them to be firm, and you don't want a lot of brown spots on them. And then we just want to make sure that all of the bananas get covered in the lemon juice. And I'm going to let those sit there for a minute while I get the cake. All right, our cake is coming right out of the oven. It's hot. And we don't want to let this cool too much. In fact, there's no reason to let it cool at all. So I'm going to take the end of a wooden spoon, the round end. You can also use a dowel. This is actually a little thicker around than I like, but it will work. And I'm going to tell you that there's nothing like the house smelling like freshly baked cake at 6 in the morning. I finally figured out that if I would do this super early in the morning, I wouldn't have to worry about the dogs barking or somebody walking into the kitchen. So I started this I guess I got up about 5 this morning. So if my voice sounds hoarse, y'all know why. I haven't talked to anybody yet today except for y'all. Okay, so we're going to put our holes in the cake, and you don't want to go all the way through, you just want to go right down to the bottom. And then we're going to take the sweetened condensed milk, and I use Eagle brand, and we're just going to pour that right over the hot cake. Can go right down into the holes. It's not going to fill them up. It's going to soak into the cake more than anything, because those pudding is going to go down in those holes. But we want to get a nice soak on this cake. I know a lot of recipes don't call for this, but this is just something I've just always done, and it makes the cake extra moist and so good. And then you just want to run this over the top so it gets a chance to soak in everywhere. You don't want any piece to not have it on there. And we'll set that aside for just a few minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to take the bananas and I'm going to drain them. I'm just going to take my 4 cups of milk and my 6.8 ounces of banana pudding mix. And I'm just going to put that right in there and whisk it in, just like I was making pudding. If I made it from a box, which sometimes I do, but not normally. Make sure it's all stirred in good. And we're just going to stir that until it starts to thicken. You don't want it to be too thick. If it's too thick, it's not going to go down into the holes. If it's not thick enough, it's going to soak down in the cake, and it's not going to make the wells of pudding in the cake like we want. All right, let's see what we've got here, if it's thick enough. I'm going to put some in just to test it. Yeah, that works good. All right. And y'all remember, this cake is still hot. I mean, I literally just took it out of the oven. And we're just going to pour this over and smooth it down into the holes. We want to fill them up as much as we can. And if the pudding gets too thick, it won't go down into the holes. And then we'll just leave, you can do this one of two ways. You can decide that the top layer of pudding is thick enough and you can go ahead and go from here, or you can add the remainder of the pudding onto it, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Makes it a little messy when you're cutting it and eating it, but it's so delicious. All right, got a nice layer on there. And at this point, we're gonna cover this and let it set in the refrigerator for about an hour. So I'll see you back here then. Okay, y'all, this cake has had actually a little over an hour to cool and to chill, and we're gonna take the plastic wrap off. And, whoops, I just wanna show y'all, if you spray the plastic wrap with nonstick cooking spray, the pudding and stuff won't stick to it. It's really great. So keep that in mind. All right. Oh, the one thing that I didn't tell y'all about at the beginning is the Cool Whip. And you can use either an 8-ounce tub of Cool Whip or like 2 cups of whipped cream for the topping. If you make homemade whipped cream, I like to put about a teaspoonful of the instant pudding mix into the whipped cream while I'm whipping it. It just helps it hold better, especially with something like this that you're not just gonna put on individual pieces, but you're gonna put it on the whole cake, and it's gonna have to hold up for maybe a few days. So that's just a little tip for y'all. So here's my bananas. They, as you can see, they did not brown because of the lemon juice. I'd suggest when you do the cake, you might want to wait and do the bananas until after you bring the cake back out of the fridge. I did it this way because I wanted to show you that they're not going to brown. So then we're just going to put the bananas on the cake just like that. And I hope I have enough. I think I do. It takes about 4 bananas, but these were smaller. I have some more bananas over there just on the counter. Like you could see me point and say over there. I have some more bananas on the counter in case I need them. We go through a lot of bananas around here. But you're just gonna put the slices on the cake until it's all covered up, and I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I did have to use an extra banana, and I've brushed the new bananas with lemon juice so that they won't darken up a whole lot either. Now all we have to do is to add the Cool Whip in a relatively thin layer because we want it to go over the whole cake. And keep in mind that this is a really rich cake. It's got the cake and the pudding and the Cool Whip. So you don't need a super thick layer of Cool Whip on this. If you want more, then by all means add more. I probably would double it myself if I was taking it to a potluck, just because I'm a little bit extra like that. Swirl that right on there. It doesn't take a minute, and you don't have to let it set after this. It's already set up as much as it's going to set up. So, and the cake has soaked up all the pudding and all of the Eagle brand sweetened condensed milk. And so once you get the topping on it, you can just go ahead and cut it and enjoy. I wouldn't make this too far ahead. You probably could make it a day ahead, but I would be hesitant about doing that. It's an easy cake. There's really no reason not to just make it. One thing that would speed it up is if you wanted to make the cake itself a day ahead of time and then do the rest of it, you know, the day that you were going to serve it, that would work too. And now I'm just going to take the Nilla Wafers and sprinkle them right on top. And I've coarsely crushed these. I didn't put them in the blender because I didn't want it just to be crumbs. I kind of put them in a bag and smashed them with a rolling pin. So I have plenty to put on there. You can put less on if you want to, or more on, that's up to you. But I want mine to be really covered with these Nilla wafer crumbs. And I think it's going to be really good. I'm going to press those in a little bit. Okay, I'm going to clean up my mess and then come back and we'll take a look, okay? I'll see you in a minute. All right, this is going to make, it just kind of depends on how your sweet tooth is. It's gonna make at least 12 servings. I think most people could get 16 or 18 servings out of it just because it's so rich, and you'll see when I cut into it what the layers are like. So let's dig in and see what we've got. The other thing is you could also serve this with a spoon. It might be easier than trying to get a piece out, we'll see. I used to be able to get slices out of it without too much trouble, but I'm not gonna make any promises on this one. See if we can lift right under that cake. Bring it up. Some of it's gonna fall off. But look at that. Look at the way that the pudding and the cake and the topping and the bananas, just all of those layers. We used to have a joke in my family that the first slice was the throwaway slice because it never comes out pretty. And then after that, you can usually get them out pretty nicely. But I do want to show you guys how the layers are. And it's just the soft cake, the layers of pudding, the layer of bananas. It's just really, really good. And if you like banana pudding, you really can't do much better than that unless you're gonna have regular banana pudding. So good. I just want to cut another piece and show y'all that after that first throwaway piece, you really can get a pretty piece out of it. You really can, I promise. Look at that. Came out in one piece, goes on the plate, and it looks just gorgeous. See there? Pretty, huh? Well, y'all, I told you it couldn't be easier, and it really couldn't. It takes just the time to make the cake and then put the pudding on it and refrigerate it for an hour. You could make this in the morning and have it ready for a potluck or a party in the afternoon. It's that easy. Or make the cake ahead of time and then just put everything on it the day that you're ready to serve it. But it is just that easy. And if you love banana pudding, I know you're gonna love this. Well, y'all, it's time for me to go. I hope that you are gonna try this. I hope you'll love it. Remember that the recipe is down below. You may need to scroll down to find it. And the nutrition information and printable recipe and more tips and more information about the recipe is on the blog, so be sure to head over there. And yeah, I think that's it. I love y'all. Have a great day and great rest of your week. Bye. See you next time.